Hello and welcome back to Hannah and George's Linocut printmaking videos. Today I'm going to talk to you all about actually lino carving, the sort of tools that I use and that Hannah uses as well, and carving techniques. So this is hopefully going to be useful for beginners and experienced people with lino cutting, because beginners, you're probably not going to even know how to hold a lino cut tool, and people who've been doing this a while, I know this from the printmaking club that I run, people who have been doing it for years, I often find they'll be noticing the way I do certain things and asking me about it. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to sort of cover all of that really. So for non-beginners, apologies if some of this is already obvious to you, but I'm just going to cover it all anyway. So I've got a lino cut I'm working on here, and in a sec I'm going to show you me carving a part of an area of it and talk you through what I'm doing. But first of all, I'm going to talk to you about tools. So you can get tools for, you can get a set of quite rubbish, in my opinion, lino cut tools for from £5 upwards. Basically the £5 set is like a red handle, and you screw in these tools, and they're not very sharp, and you can't sharpen them either, so they're not great, and it's frustrating when people opt for tools like that, because it gives you a false idea of what lino cut, how difficult lino cutting is, and it makes people often think, oh, I'm no good at this, you know, I clearly haven't got the knack. Not true. You need good tools. I'm fortunate enough to work at Lawrence Art Supplies part-time, which is where I picked up all of my knowledge about linocut printmaking, and which meant that I was able to try out a lot of the tools, the more expensive ones that I've got here, and I was able to see for myself how much better they are. When I say expensive, this is a Japanese woodcut set. Doesn't mean you can't use it on lino. Wood is the more difficult surface to cut into, so when something's a woodcut tool, you by default can use it on lino as well. A set of 5 tools for just under £40. I mainly only use 3 of them, these 3 here. This yellow one here is a V tool. It's called a V because when you look at it straight on, it's shaped like a V, and it's designed for cutting lines. And then a gouge tool would be what these 2 are. A gouge is shaped like a U when you look at it straight on. So this one, a smaller gouge than that one. So the main styles of tools that you have in any lino cut tool range is V tools and gouges, and I'll explain in a minute while I'm cutting to show you what those 2 tools' purposes are. Here, these are my favourites. These are Swiss made File, P-F-E-I-L. I'm unsure whether it's file or feel. I hear both get said all the time. It's like the whole scone and scone thing. These are more like £18 a tool, and they are, they're exceptional in my opinion. Again, can buy them from Lawrence's, www.lawrence.co.uk. So yeah, £40 plus 18 plus 18. That serves all of my lino cutting needs really. Sorry, I didn't actually talk about this tool. This is also a gouge, but a really wide one. It cuts a whole centimetre across, so really great for clearing out large areas. But yeah, I'll talk about that in a sec. And I'm also going to mention, this isn't an opportunity for me to promote Lawrence's sadly, but it's got to be said that the tools that Hannah uses here are really great as well, and they are from Intaglio in London. They are called, I think they're called just Japanese lino cut tools, and I can't remember how much they are. I think they're around £30 each or something. So yeah, and Hannah absolutely loves these. She also likes these, but I think she does prefer these. Just saying. So they're the tools. So I have a Linocut here that I'm working on. It's several images which are going to be I'm going to be printing on an A5 notebook, something that I do with my Linocuts quite often. So with this image here, I'm just going to talk you through what tools I'd use in order to create the image. As you can see from the images I've already carved, again, this is probably only going to be useful for beginners to hear, but all the areas that you cut out are the negative space, the areas that you are not going to be able to see when it gets printed, and everything that you leave raised is what the ink is going to pick up and print. So bearing all that in mind, I'm now going to cut into this. What I've done is, and what I think a lot of printmakers do, is draw what they want to cut out on their lino, whether it be drawing it on paper first and then transferring it on, or freehand drawing it on, just so you've got something to work with. So I can see here from my drawing that I've marked out the areas which I want to remain black because that's the colour I'm printing in. It could be any colour, but I should say that I've marked out the areas that I want to appear inked up. So first thing I'd do is get a really fine V tool. So actually I didn't even explain about this tool. It's a very fine version of this one. So another really nice little V shape, but it cuts an even finer line. The smaller the V, the smaller the cut, and you'll see all this in a sec. So I'm going to get this tool. With these mushroom handled tools, you place them in the ball of your, the palm of your hand, right here, and then you just push away from yourself. I'm probably going to make this look easier than it is, but what I would personally do is I'm picking a negative space in between these two black areas, and I'm just going to make an incision and cut all on the inside of one of those black lines. And then you can just stop and flick that bit away, and then I'm going to do the same again here. And then next thing I do is probably do the same on the other side. Once those lines are created, you've kind of made the areas on either side safe. You've created a dam to stop them getting accidentally cut into, which is when I then get this bigger V to cut that bit of lino left in the middle there out. It's just good to start with the small tool, because as you can see, look, I've gone in ever so slightly to the leaf there because it's a bigger tool, so you're just risking cutting more than you want away. So I've just tidied that up. Something I do that I didn't even realise I do until someone at my print club pointed out is I put my finger on the end of the tool here just to help guide it. I literally didn't realise I did it until someone mentioned it. It's weird trying to do it without it. It makes me realise I'm not got as good control. So I just rest my finger and it just helps me guide it that little bit better. So yeah, I'd probably then cut on the other side of the black line. And then again get the other big V tool and just cut around it again. This isn't necessarily the right way to do that. There is no sort of right way as such with this, but this is how I do it. By starting with the finest tools, you're around really fine lines like that one, you're, you know, not running as much of a risk of getting a gouge. And just, if say you just were like, right, I want to cut some negative space and just carve away, imagine if you just slipped into that leaf and then you've ruined it. Whereas by getting all that prepared, I can now get this gouge and cut, and it's just slipped into that little dam that you've made. And if I were to sort of slip now, it kind of gets stuck, if that makes sense. I mean, there have been times when I have slipped and it has cut into the design, but that's just what I do anyway. So yeah, you're carving away everything that you don't want to appear in print, and you're leaving raised anything that you want to come out in print. So I think that's it really. I could sit and carve this whole image and show you the whole thing, but then the video would be quite long and boring, so I'm a little bit of a slow worker. But just to give you an idea of the sort of lines, that the sort of marks that need to be made to get your image to come together. People often ask me how I do circles, and there aren't actually any circles in this, but I'm just going to quickly show you on here how I do a circle, because this snake has a few circles in it. I stab the tool in, and then I hold this hand, my right hand, steady, and I just turn the lino slowly with the hope that I'll get all the way around and it'll be a nice, probably not perfect, but not really perfect, but it's good enough. It's much better than straining your wrist and sort of going, and then you sort of can't get further round, so you're sort of like, but yeah, again, you know, that made a slight mistake there, and you can very easily tidy things up, and you know, I wouldn't, yeah, it's already looking much better. It's like it doesn't compromise the image half the time. It's quite fun changing things around as you go along. So yes, I hope that has been useful for you all to watch, whether you're a beginner or someone who is quite experienced with all this. But just to summarise, can't recommend good quality tools enough. These can be resharpened. You can buy your own sharpening stuff, or you can use our amazing sharpening service at Lawrence's, which I use. I've probably had to have my tools sharpened 4 or 5 times in 6 years, so it's pretty good. And yeah, if you would be interested in learning more about, if you're a beginner and you'd be interested in learning more about lino cutting, I do run beginners workshops, so you can find me on Instagram. The handle is @Lawrence Printmaking, all one word, or yeah, you can email me on georgia@lawrence.co.uk, whatever's easiest. Obviously at the moment there's no workshops running, but yes, in the future, from late summer onwards, I'm sure I'll be able to do them again. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.